Welcome to the BS and Beer Show. Tonight's topic is scary building failures. It's our Halloween special. So as you can see, tonight I am actually drinking a beer from a local brewery, and I am a famous scary building failure that you should all recognize. So Emily Mottram, architect here in Maine. We want to encourage all of our local groups who get together. So for BS and Beer, we've been meeting weekly virtually, but for all of the groups out there, this got started from a local group. So if you'd like to start your own local group and you need some help getting that started, we ask you to not trademark the name, but go ahead and use BS and Beer and reach out to us for any tips and tricks on starting your own local group. We want to thank our media partners, Fine Home Building and Green Building Advisor, for helping us make this happen each week. And I'm going to kick it off to Kylie to tell you about her costume and the mechanics of the show tonight.
Yep. So I have a little prop that's fun. I always forget to introduce my drink, but not this time because I went to some lengths. This is a prop. It's absinthe, which would have been popular in 19th century Europe, where Van Gogh would have lived. And that's my costume, but my glasses are sort of interrupting it. But absinthe is a fun thing to read about. It's a pretty storied liqueur, and he made it sort of the popular belief was that it had hallucinogenic properties. It's made of grand wormwood, green anise, and Florence fennel, which together are known as the Holy Trinity. And in its traditional form, it has been banned in many states. So the history is kind of fun to read about. And unfortunately, though I went shopping, I could not find the perfect absinthe glass because the glass is a big piece of it. He has a whole painting devoted to it. But I did get green food coloring, and this should not be imbibed as it is poisoning my skin as we speak. So for mechanics, less, more mundane things. If you're new to this platform, then you're going to see the chat box at the bottom. If you want to engage with us, just make sure that you click on all attendees so everybody can see your comments. We're going to have 2 guest speakers tonight, and that will be the first segment. Will be an introductory presentation, followed by a panel discussion, followed by questions from the audience, and we'll wrap up at 7:30. If you'd like to see this show and past shows, then you can go to the bsandbeershow.com and find links to YouTube where they all live. I think one last thing, if you're only seeing me speak and you'd like to see everybody, you have to go to the gallery view at the top right hand of your screen, and then you can see everybody at the same time. I think that's it for mechanics. And Mike, do you have some announcements?
Yes. Well, first I'll introduce myself. I'm actually Art Garfunkel, circa 1970. Thanks to Tracy Reed, an architect friend. I've got my guitar here ready to play for you all. And tonight I am drinking a foul-mouthed brewing Tammany dry stout, really good stout. Announcements. Actually, announcements are short tonight. I'm sorry, Travis was going to do announcements.
That's all right, Mike. You can go with it. I can introduce. Okay. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll switch. Announcements are the Sion house tour. Sion is the Brattleboro, Vermont local BS and Beer type group. They've been around a long time. On November 7th, they're doing virtual tours of 4 high performance homes, including homes designed by former BS and Beer guests, Robert Swinburne, and another one by Ted Benson. I'd also like to introduce our book club, or not introduce, but mention our book club. December 17th, we'll be reviewing Healthy Buildings by Joseph Allen and John Macomer. So pick up a copy and follow along. I still have to start, but Emily and Kylie say it's a good read. And that is it for comments tonight. I will turn it over to Travis for our guest introductions.
Yeah, I'll reiterate it. It is a good start. That book is off to a fine start. I'm not as far into it as Emily and Kylie, but I'm getting there. Tonight, I'm Travis. I'm not actually Bob Vila. I'm Travis Brungart in Kansas City. But I was a big fan of Bob Vila back in the day, and still a fan of this old house. So tonight I'm drinking a Boulevard Crustfall, which is a collaboration with the Rheingeist Brewery in Cincinnati, which I'm sure Emily will be shocked to learn is an Imperial Berliner style Weiss ale with peach, blackberry, blueberry, and other natural flavors.
What? Not a sour?
Well, it's a fruit beer. Come on.
I like fruit beer, just not sour ones.
Well, it's a little bit tart. It's a Berliner style. So that's me, and that's my beer. At this time, I have the great pleasure to introduce our guests. We have, first off, Carl Seville, who's principal at SK Collaborative. He has over 30 years of experience in renovation and home construction. He owned and operated Sawhorse Incorporated, one of the largest design build renovation firms in Atlanta, for over 25 years. Among other distinctions, Carl is a HERS rater, a lead green rater, and has served on the boards of directors of various building and green building associations. He's a contributing editor at greenbuildingadvisor.com and is co-author of Green Building, Principles and Practices in Residential Construction, the first college textbook on residential green building. He's a graduate of the Rhode Island School of Design, better known as RISD, where he studied architecture, fine arts, and design. Carl and Michael used to have a show called The Green Police. Damn it, of course they did. Why have I not seen this? I should have read this bio sooner. I'm very excited about this Green Police now. And I'm disappointed that you guys didn't dress in complete Green Police outfits for the show. Sorry, totally derailed. At any rate, it's a video series by Hanley Wood. And apparently I can find those videos on YouTube, which I'm sure everyone is already searching. So I'll join you there soon. Carl, do you have anything to add? What are you drinking tonight?
Oh, I am drinking emergency drinking beer, which is actually a very good lager from a local brewery.
Nice. Is there anything that I left out about you or your experience that you'd like to share with us real quick before I introduce Michael?
But I just on Green Building Advisor, I'm the Green Building curmudgeon. That's my blog, and I like to rant about things. It's fun.
I appreciate that about you. I do enjoy that blog, by the way. So on to Michael, our wonderful guest, Michael Anschel, who owns and runs Otagawa Anschel Design Build. It's a design build firm in Minneapolis dedicated to green building and old homes for over a decade. Michael led the green building group in the development of Minnesota Green Star certified green homes and remodeling, one of the most progressive residential building standards in the U.S. He has served on various boards and has been featured in many magazines. He has lived, studied, and worked in China and Japan. His spare time is spent outdoors, climbing mountains, cooking, and reading. And I feel like Michael has more to tell us. So... And the mask is killing me, man. I can't hardly. There he is. There's the man.
It's not conducive to drinking beer. Let me tell you that. All of my get-ups for tonight, I got a whole series of them. I just realized they're all over the face. I can't drink in any of them.
Got to go straw, brother.
That's so fun.
Yeah, right. I realized that bio I sent you. This is year 26 as a design build and architecture firm now. So it's been a good ride. And I am drinking from Broken Clock. This is the beauty of the green screen. There we go. From Broken Clock Brewing, and I'm an investor, so I got to drink, my own beer. The Spruce Juice, which is a seriously dank and twisted brew.
Nice description.
Fits you very well, Michael.
To a T, right? Really, just kind of got that musty smell going, and
Dank and twisted.
That's awesome.
It's perfect for tonight's show.
Oh, was it Bob? Did I leave some? Was I supposed to add more there, Mr. Bob Vila?
Well, I think more is always better. If
Don't say that to him. Don't
I just derail the show even further. It's worse than my Green Police.
We'll never even get to the presentation.
I can't believe you haven't seen the Green Police. This is like epic YouTube cinema. I mean,
I'm going back for it. As soon as the show's over, that's where you'll find me. It's on YouTube.
Let me just plug the Green Police and saying in one of the episodes featuring a very popular mineral wool insulation, Carl has the pleasure of murdering me.
It was one of my finest moments.
It really was. We also I think we played catch with poop. We threw poop at each other in one episode. We got Alex Wilson to that mushroom insulation. I think he and I both tried to eat it.
Yes.
Oh.
Ooh.
So it's some high quality entertainment. You're saying this is some
We like to think so.
intellectual pontificating.
Feel free to share the link for YouTube to that in the chat box, because I feel like people would really enjoy watching.
Carl, I'll punt that one to you. You're the master of the YouTube links.
Actually, my computer. I don't have a computer. Can you do that, Michael? I think you had it. You put the link in.
All
in
the work. All the work.
Green Laurel and Hardy, Mason says. That's about right.
Mason on it. All right, that's it for introductions. Let's start the show.
Too much fun on the BS and Beer show, or just the right amount. So tonight we're going to start off with your presentation. So whoever wants to fire that up, I gave you screen share possibility and jump right in.
All right, so I can't get you the Green Police link and fire that up, so I'm just going to
Well, you know what? Worst case scenario, I'll look for it while you're presenting, but if I don't find it for some reason, then I'll put it up on the on Green.
It was in the email Michael sent out.
All right. Can you all see this?
Yes,
we can.
All right. Okay, here we go. And I think Carl and I, we have a presenting style, which is a little less formal. So if you guys want to jump in and be like, we're not on TV, so we can swear, right? Or is that a fine home building etiquette code of policy type thing?
I think Jess might have to click something that says language for YouTube. Otherwise, go for it.
So you guys feel free to jump in and say, bullshit, that's not, go for it. So they're back. Carl, how you been?
I've been good, Michael.
Yeah?
Life's been treating me well. Very happy to be a recovered contractor. It's much better than being a contractor in my book.
You're living the high life. You're making like mad money pointing out what people are doing wrong.
Pretty much. That's what I do. I just tell people what they're doing wrong.
All right. Well, so tonight, Carl the Claw Seville and myself, Michael the Masochist. I've only been married 3 times. So obviously, masochist. Joking. Anyways, one of us is mental and the other is a curmudgeon. And if you want to follow us out on the socials, you can follow me at OA Builds, and you can follow the Green Curmudgeon at thegreencurmudgeon.com. There's our shameless self-promotional bit before the terror begins.
Yeah, and we have to point out that Michael has a thing about cicada shells. It's pretty weird.
Cicadas, Carl.
Cicada shells. Forgive me. It's still weird.
They're awesome. So for all of you folks here, anyone want to take a stab at what the show is? It's being famously recreated here. Anybody?
You're falling flat, Michael.
Oh my gosh. Does nobody watch HBO?
You got to Yertle the turtle. That was from the chat box.
No. Think more tragic.
Game of Thrones.
You got it, Michael.
Thrones.
Don't give it to me. That was from the audience. Eli Roxby got that one.
Nice work. And this movie also, Carl got this one.
That looks like a hot tub time machine.
So, in all seriousness, we'll start it out with a really good meme. One of our favorites. Houses should breathe. Right, Carl? Houses should breathe.
Absolutely, they should breathe. Of course they should.
This is when, in real life, when Carl slaps me across the face.
What I say is that houses should be as leaky as a submarine. That's what they should be.
I like that one. So we're going to start out with our first horror of the evening. And this one actually by our good friend who we love to beat up on, Mr. Martin Holliday. Carl.
He gave this actually a positive review on Green Building Advisor. He mentioned on Green Building Advisors having seen it at the Builder Show, and it was shortly after I gave it a scathing review. And thankfully, it is no longer being manufactured. I checked the website; it's no longer in existence. We just find it incredibly. It's a unibrow, like Michael's.
I no longer have a unibrow, for the record.
Are you waxing, Michael? Is that what's going on?
I know I just rip them out as they grow back in. I like the pain. But I remember the first time you showed me this, Carl, and everything. I mean, there's just the fact that not only did someone conceive of this thing, but they put it into production, made a bunch of them, and took it to a show.
Yeah, it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
And not just because it's ugly. I mean, right? I feel like our audience, they're an enlightened group. They understand.
Well, it's ugly and completely non-functional.
Well,
Yep.
without it though, wouldn't water come down and follow that bull nose and get drawn right back to the door?
Right, but it goes behind the flange anyway. It's like,
Oh, I see. Right.
I mean, eventually the caulk, eventually the caulk will fail. It's just,
Yeah,
it's
that's bad.
It's seriously stupid.
Yeah.
It's plastic? Is it plastic?
Yeah, some kind of plastic.
Yeah. Not really doing a whole lot of protection. There's a lot better. We can all think of quickly some much better ways like to protect that door than this. And we're going to joke like right into the heavy stuff. We're going to talk about penetration. Carl's been penetrated.
This is something that just comes up to me all the time. Is I can't count the number of times that people just don't flash the mechanical penetrations in the weather barrier. This is again in terms of working with clients. This is what I tell them all the time. They have to do it. And the worst is when they actually, this time I get to see it and they can actually hopefully get it flashed before they close it up. But the one in the middle there in the bottom where they've drilled the hole and put the mechanical line out after the siding's on, when there's absolutely no chance to seal it. And if you go back in a house like this after a couple of years, there's mold and there's rot in those holes. It's just,
That's a classic move.
It's just a sequencing thing. It's nobody, everybody wants to get the siding up because they get a draw based on siding before the mechanical stuff's in. And they just got to sequence it differently so that everything's flashed before the siding goes up.
Yeah. Drill the stucco is what I say. Just go right through it.
And caulk it.
Now,
Maybe it'll.
We think that there's hope for this one. It's early-ish in the process. But then again, it is flex, which is also illegal to begin with.
This is a classy one. Yeah.
It's a super classy one.
We don't think that one's going to get flashed properly ever.
Just say it still has potential to be saved. Not that it would be.
Yeah. Very, very limited. Very limited.
So this is we both love to hate on this stuff for a variety of reasons, right? So we'll start with the missing overhangs, right? We'll just go right there.
So I have to describe these two on the top. This is a restaurant a couple of blocks from my house, and I walked by one day when all the siding was put on. Before the first day it was put on, they had mitered corners on the outside. Everything fits smoothly, and I thought to myself, that's going to fail badly. And this was 2 days later after the first rain. This is what happened, and no overhangs, nothing, no vented rain screen behind it, no pre-priming. I mean, these guys, this architect and these builders just did not know what they were doing. They didn't understand that they apparently missed that day in school when it told them that wood expands when it gets wet, and you probably shouldn't do outside mitered corners on exterior trim because it really doesn't hold up very well.
Yeah. There's also, I guess I have a beef with the whole kind of using tongue and groove type wood products on exteriors.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea.
It is, and then there are all these workarounds, right? Like, let's go, thermally modified ashes come on the market. That's a big one. And I think, Carl, you and I both have worked with the pickled wood.
Yeah, I did the tongue and groove flooring, and that stuff's actually amazing. I've had it on a porch for going on 7 years now, and it has not moved a fraction of an inch. So in the right situations, it can work.
The pickled stuff, I would say the pickled stuff, there's a couple manufacturers, maybe there's just one now.
I think Akoya is the only one left.
Akoya. Eastman did a project with us, and
they closed up shop.
They went out. Yeah, their issues were on the irregular milling, but the thermally modified is a cool concept, but you still have to let the stuff move. You got to just account for it moving.
Yeah.
Carl, you commented on the absence of a rain screen in your restaurant.
Right.
Here. And full disclosure, this lower picture is one of our projects. Note the presence of a rain screen. And I need to maybe footnote, not our design. We were not the architects on this project. We fought them tooth and nail, but we were the builders. And the manufacturer's rep came out and said, well, you can't put a rain screen behind thermally modified products.
Why?
We said, what are you smoking, dude? You absolutely want to do that. So the problem is, of course, this outside face gets drenched and the inside is dry. So it curls, buckles, and actually blew a piece of wood right off the side. Turns out they had a bad batch of thermally modified wood. So I think in general, open joint is like open joint. I didn't include open joint because this is a presentation about horrible details, and open joint is a super awesome detail, right? 3/4 inch or more, as long as you don't have any wood furring strips in there. I don't know if Ben's watching. He's probably busy at the summit. But
lack of overhangs with in any kind of climate where it rains is really pretty stupid.
Agreed. So the South versus the North, we agree on this one.
No, I
Same team.
don't agree with anything. You're wrong. You're wrong, Michael.
You're wrong, Carl. Oh, hey, so let's talk about deep energy retrofits. Let's just, let's talk about energy, blowing insulation into old houses. One of my favorite memes of all time. One does not simply insulate an old home unless you wish to kill it. So is energy retrofit a good thing, or is it really murder?
Depends on what you're doing.
So this is, we're going to call this one Frankenhouse. We're trying to do a Halloween theme for you guys. We're trying.
It's coming across.
That's an apt term for that.
Right?
Yeah.
Just, it's butt ugly, right? Everything about this is wrong. On every, like McMansion Hell is like we have that, what is it? The Schadenfreude thing with McMansion Hell, taking pleasure in the pain and misery of bad architecture. This is like another level where you just feel sorry for them. Like there's no joy felt when you look at this building. It's just, why? What? So sad. But notice all of the mold here growing along that roof edge. And then notice how you can see how wet all of this siding is all the way through here. And if we go over here, we can actually see it's starting to mold through the siding. And if you can see a little bit on the windows, you can see they've got shades like curtains or something, and there's condensation all over the windows. So it's probably, it's a bit of a rainforest on the inside, and they've gone in and they've insulated all their walls, but they haven't added any. This is Minnesota, so they in this case have no vapor retarders whatsoever.
And probably no good weather barrier on the outside. You worked on this building, right?
And no weather barrier on the outside, and it's just the whole thing was rotted, just completely dead. My biggest pet peeve, though, are the for those of you who aren't familiar, in Minneapolis, the airport is located right next to the city, and instead of moving the airport, so that we wouldn't have sound issues, the airport decided to pay to have all of these houses in its radius given new windows, insulated, and add AC units so that people could stay inside and run the AC units in the summer and not have to hear the planes go by. So they did a bunch of low bid contracts, and all these energy insulating guys went out and they started cutting holes in homes and blowing them full of insulation. And when you do that, I mean, of all the details that we should not be doing, drilling through the armor and then through the bulk water control layer and filling the cavity up with insulation so that you're reducing the drying potential, and then replacing old windows with new windows, but not reflashing them, just caulking them to the cladding, is a guaranteed recipe for disaster.
Well, in most cases, these buildings didn't even have a weather control layer. And
Right.
The windows were not flashed, and there may have not even been a weather barrier in these buildings, or maybe one layer of building paper, possibly.
One layer of or if it was a clapboard siding, it would have maybe one disintegrated layer. I mean, this housing stock here is all 1920s, right? And we're a stucco city. We have a lot of stucco homes. So, lap siding maybe could manage it a little bit, but stucco definitely not. And the number of homes that then rotted as a result. This is one where we were doing a kitchen remodel and ended up rebuilding the entire back of their house. It was like $80,000 in just repairing their home. The airport paid for it all, which is awesome. But interestingly enough, this project, not this specific project, but that whole debacle of insulating old houses is what led to the development of the worst case combustion spillage test here with the Center for Energy and Environment. So don't go back and just insulate your old house. It's a bad thing to do, especially if it's stucco.
If the walls you're talking about, insulate the walls.
Insulate the attic, insulate the rim, leave the damn walls alone.
Right.
All right. Sometimes homeowners get really excited about energy projects, and so they buy themselves some foam and they nail it up all over their house.
Flashing. Who needs flashing?
It's overrated.
Flashing's totally overrated.
All right, Carl, this is your favorite subject.
5-foil, bubble wrap, my favorite. Things that do not obey the laws of physics. The bubble wrap insulation and the 5-foil insulation, these guys claim that their stuff adds R6 to R8 or even more. And it's all based on the premise that this radiant barrier bubble wrap insulation, whatever it is, has a perfectly sealed airspace between it and whatever it's up against, whether it's insulation or concrete block or something. And it doesn't work at all in practice. It might work in theory if you could actually do it, but there's physically no way to do it properly. And they just market the crap out of this thing, and people use it. People put the bubble wrap, they claim it's R6 or R8, and that's only if it's got that 1/2 inch or 1 inch airspace between it and the duct or it in the wall, and it just doesn't happen.
I was a number of years ago at summer camp where the Germans, I always feel like I'm going to automatically mispronounce it.
Don't even bother.
Fraunhofer.
The Fraunhofer folks came by and did a presentation. They had been hired by a anonymous company that sold a radiant barrier solution, not to be named 5-foil, who had paid them to build a test hut and test out their product because they were sick of having people like us go after them and tell them that the product didn't work. And guess what?
Doesn't work.
Right? I mean, if the Southern Germans, I can't make Nazi. I can make Nazi jokes for Jews.
If they can't do it right, nobody can do it right. All right, let's move on, Michael. Let's step this up. Let's keep these people interested.
It is it's a little boring, isn't it? What do you guys think? How are we doing? Pretty dry?
No. That's great. What are you talking
You guys are very entertaining.
Roll.
We'll be here till 9 o'clock. Problem.
Insulating paint.
I think it's awesome.
Oh, geez.
I mean, do we have to talk about this one? I mean, I feel like there's some subjects when they come up, it's like QAnon. When QAnon is like, that Democrats eat babies and they worship. I mean, you should just be like automatically, are you out of your freaking gourd? I mean, what? Right? So when someone's like, hey, you don't need insulation, just paint your house with this NASA paint, I feel like even like a baseline consumer should just automatically say, no, I'm not that dumb. And yet this stuff is still on the market. It's still being sold. Where'd Bob Vila go? I'm missing you on my screen. It's on the This Old House website. I pulled an image from there. They start off by saying, they advertise it can do this thing. This is how it was developed. And in fact, it doesn't do that. By the way, here's how to install it. Come on, this
Wasn't my call. Put that on Kevin O'Connor.
So it is worth noting with insulating paint that additives to paint are a very real thing. And in a factory situation, when you have a pipe.
Wait, no. What? Additives to paint will never increase the insulation. Period. It's just not going to happen.
I'm going to give you two examples that do work. So the paints on the space shuttle, like a lot of paints used in factory settings on high temperature or very low temperature pipes, can have an insulating quality of 20% or so. That's a legit thing, but they exist in extremes. They're at when we're talking about 3,000 degrees. Now this reflective element or insulated element, ceramic beads in the paint.
My house is rarely in 3,000 degrees.
Right? And here in Minnesota,
hot here, but not that hot.
Yeah, mine is 3,000. Also, we do.
That's like Minnesota, just like Minnesota.
Just like Minnesota. I do want to give a nod in case for those people who are interested. There's a product called Aqua SureTech that some of you may have seen out there, who went through the ASTM process. I want to say it's like ASTM 4806 or 4808, something like that, that measures properties of paint on PVC, where huge heat gains will cause the substrate to shift and move too much, right? We don't want that to happen. So if it can resist a 55-degree rise, it meets the standard. And so Aqua SureTech is one of those that has developed a paint that even they're dark, like a dark black, doesn't exceed a 55-degree temperature rise, where a typical paint would allow the material to reach, say, 120 or 130 degrees. So it does have value, but it's in very specific applications, not insulating your house.
Yeah, it doesn't insulate the house. It insulates the plastic on your house is what it does.
Yes, exactly. I have a plastic house.
Okay, so here's some examples where even if you have overhangs, you can still be an idiot.
This is true. So I full disclosure, I don't know if you guys can see that there on the door. That's an OA project. Same one I showed you before with the failing tongue and groove wood paneling. The entirety of this roof plane and this roof plane and this roof plane all drain onto this 6x10 flat roof with a single scupper.
How much water gets in there in a heavy rain, Michael?
We did account for them, and it was like 1,100 gallons of water on a typical rainfall event, a half-inch rainfall.
Good, yeah.
Argued with the architect, who's adamant this is what he was going to do. This is it. So we said, fine, made the homeowner sign a disclaimer. We also pointed out to the homeowner, all of this water here and absence of gutters, that's his driveway.
In Minnesota.
In Minnesota.
Where there's a lot of ice and a lot of snow.
It's attractive.
Looks
Charles
nice.
Barkley would say, Martin Holliday is rolling over in his grave looking at this.
Oh, so
Doesn't
painful.
look like the Franken house.
No, it's a sexy house. Don't get me wrong. It's just,
It's just a bad idea.
Yeah,
bad idea. We tried.
Stupid isn't sexy.
To me, it's one of those architects that should have been a sculptor instead of an architect.
Right.
It looks pretty, but it really doesn't hold up in the real world.
Well,
So
and how much would it have detracted to have a sloped roof over that flat section right there?
Yeah, right, exactly. It would not have made a difference.
Or Yeah, there were so many choices we could have made, or like these little cutout things around all the windows to have had that be a straight even, put a gutter to pick up the water and move the water somewhere else. There were lots of options that weren't aesthetically with it, in the vernacular of the very fancy Swedish architect who doesn't, we argued about so many things. This one, thermal planes that jump from outside to inside to outside. And they were very much an alternative facts thing. They pulled, we have a different beliefs about building science.
Ooh, that's scary. This is just a house around the corner from my house. I just was looking for some bad examples one day for our book and ran across it. It's just like, yeah, not only is it an ugly house, but it's a stupid house. It's kind of hard to be so good at both things at the same time.
This one's really
Looking good.
This one. What exactly is wrong with this one, Carl?
I don't know. What is wrong with it, Michael? What do you think?
I don't know. This is your photo.
Well, there's a dead valley. I like my valleys to be living.
Death Valley. You should rename this slide. All right. This one, Carl, you're like, what's wrong with this?
Yeah, see this one, it's in where I am where there's no snow, a window being a couple inches above roof isn't any big deal. But apparently when you have like 80 feet of snow like you do, it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those details that it's not very it's not complicated to get this one right. It just goes something like, don't let the roof come within 6 inches of a window. That's the detail, right?
Yeah, all right.
Simple. If it snows where you live, keep the roof away from the window.
Yeah, I like the fact that there's a combustion vent right next to the window too. That looks really helpful.
That's what I was looking at. I didn't even notice the window.
Breathe deep.
Radiant heat. Oh, I keep forgetting this one. Every time we go through this one, I'll go out, grab it over here. Here it is. This one is so tragic because so much time and attention was put into this detail. So check it out. I'll start in the upper right-hand corner over here. Is that everyone's upper right-hand corner?
Yes.
And we're gonna go. There's a gutter, right? That's a good thing. And there's a downspout. That's a good thing. And it sheds onto this little roof. That's it's cool. Look at this big barrel. That's awesome, right? And there's another gutter, but it has no downspout.
It must just dump off on the roof in the back, which is not particularly smart, but that's what it does.
Right. Well, so so maybe that's what it does. So it nicely directs the water that was already coming down the barrel to the same spot and down this roof to this gutter that travels along here to here to here to here to here. No downspout
Ever.
anywhere in this entire thing.
This is also.
And it's so beautifully done,
Huh.
but so tragic.
Huh.
So it doesn't have a downspout on the other side either? Just
There's
has
nothing.
no?
It does not appear to. Yeah.
Wow.
It might have one around the corner, but it's not like it's going to do anything,
Right, all the way. It's not going to travel all the way over there.
This gutter reminds me of modern day shutters. It's like someone was like, I feel like the motif calls for vintage gutter, vintage case style gutter.
Vintage.
Yeah.
Wait, where are the internal gutters? Why isn't this whole thing about gutters? The ones that are like built into the roof?
Oh, yeah,
Those-
those are fun.
Those are fun. We've repaired a few of those things, and it's so cool. Like they're cool, right? When they work.
Yeah, they are. When is the operative term?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, these are all yours, Michael. Oh, well, this one on the right, kick-out flashing. How many times do people not put kick-out flashing in when they have an eave terminating a wall? Way too often, and this is what happens. If we have projects where these builders, we tell them 100 times to put the kick-out flashing in. We tell them before the job. We tell them during the job 3 times. Get to the end of the job, no kick-out flashing. So they're tearing siding off, tearing flashing off, reflashing the kick-out.
It's a weird one, don't you think? I mean, it's not an expensive part.
No.
It's not a hard to find part.
You can buy preformed ones that are beautiful. They're like little
Whoa,
three-sided
what?
piece. What?
Do I have to use a preformed one, Carl?
No, you don't. Your metal guy can make one, but the preformed, I use the preformed ones in my house. They're really nice.
Yeah. But like literally all you have to do to make one on site is to take one of your flashings and bend it. I mean,
Yep.
sometimes I wonder why we bother. Like Randy posted on Instagram today, he ran 3 different blower door tests using 3 of the acceptable methods in the US. And then he ran a 4th using the Canadian method, and they were all within like 2 or 3. It was like a splitting hair kind of thing. And it was really kind of cool to dig into it. But it's like, if we can't figure this out, what are we doing with blower doors? Why are we even bothering with it's like we argue about Q-fan increase of 2%, right? And here we are, like in the field, still beating people over the head with like, don't point the water at a window, don't point the water at a wall.
This in my experience, this is the single. I think this is the single most egregious mistake. Just as a builder or designer, I've seen hundreds of houses torn apart, and I've never seen one flash properly, and I've never seen one torn apart that didn't have some damage. Only half of them are this bad, but just every single house you take it apart and there's problems at this location. And it's too bad. All you need is one little piece of metal to kick the water in the right direction, but it's always funneled against the wall. And just, it may last 10 years, it may last 20 years, but the longer it lasts, the more it rots. It's just that one little detail. Just I wish new builders would do a little remodeling so they could see what saving 5 minutes does down the road.
Yeah, 5 minutes and $3 versus Brian Campbell, master carpenter, who used to be with our shop, sent this over. This house is, I want to say, 8 or 9 years old.
Wow.
And this gutter terminates at brick, and it just rushed down and completely. I mean, that's beyond destroyed. I mean, that's like. Oof. So
a lot of people would say that's why you shouldn't build with OSB, because I see that's OSB siding, or sheathing, but it.
Well, it's the wood. Don't build with wood. It's like it's gonna rot. It's like it gets wet.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the thing is, if you didn't insulate it, it might actually be. Maybe you should just didn't insulate, and then it actually might be okay because it would get to dry out.
Carl, to that very point, had they not put plastic on the inside of the wall, fucking vapor barriers, right?
Might have survived.
Sorry, language. Gosh darn vapor barriers. There's a detail that should be ripped out of the lexicon. Vapor barrier.
Yeah.
Right? There's no vapor barrier. I mean, even though we've taken them out of the codes, inspectors will still come by and say, "Where's your vapor barrier?" And you kind of want to punch them in the face, right?
Yeah. Oh. I don't even know what it is.
You don't even know what a vapor barrier is, do you? You live in the South.
Well, no, we don't use. There's no. We should. You should never put one in my climate. It makes no sense in our climate ever.
You shouldn't put one in my climate either.
No, it doesn't make sense where there's air conditioning. You should never put it in if there's air conditioning. That's the problem.
We don't air condition much, but
you have air conditioners in your house. I've seen them.
I do.
What do you run them 2 days a year?
I have.
Well, I remember. I talked to you one day when it was 95 degrees up there, and it was only like 75 in Atlanta.
I don't know what's happening. It's like the weather is completely flipped on its head. It's like the climate's changing or something. So weird.
Yeah, climate change. How about that?
All right. So moving on. How are we doing for time, by the way?
Whatever works for you guys.
Yeah, you're good. This is entertaining. So, I mean, there's discussion, there's chat. We interrupt you. Keep rolling.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
10% of the way into the presentation, so we're.
you guys have all night, right?
So the chat box on on the odd offhand, put your comments in during. We might have to discuss as we look.
Yeah.
We
that's
should have
fun.
prefaced.
I like it that way.
Carl and I are no strangers to beer and building science and costumes. Somewhat infamously, I can't remember, a decade or so ago.
ACI in San Francisco.
ACI San Francisco.
We should have put that picture in.
I was looking for it last minute. Carl and I walked through what's that neighborhood?
The Mission in San Francisco.
Mission. We passed a luchador store, and we bought luchador masks. And after a long walk, it was like a 2-3 hour walk. We get to ACI. We're parched. We're the last session of the day. We don't think anyone's gonna even want to show up, so we go buy a bunch of beer. And we walk through the show in our luchador masks, carrying beer, offering it to anybody who comes to our presentation. Presentation starts. Carl puts me in a headlock, tries to pull the sleeper move on me.
You only live because I let you. So these are diagrams. These are diagrams from my book, and they're how to do things right, but they're the things you shouldn't do. It's like if you have to do things, if you have to do stupid things, here's the right way to do them.
Yeah. What is Thule's got his thing? It's like you can do the wrong thing the wrong way, the wrong thing the right way, the right thing the wrong way, and the right thing the right way. So this is how to do the wrong thing the right way.
Yep.
I see the insulated knee wall door.
Yeah. It's it's just if you have a knee wall, you need to insulate it, and you have to do it right. And it's that's what I end up telling people is like if you're designing with a knee wall, you may as well spray foam the roof line, because and it's like and if you've done people say, oh, spray foam is expensive. Well, doing a knee wall right is probably more expensive than spray foam.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, I've rarely seen a knee wall in an existing house not insulated more or less like you show, and I don't understand why they don't just insulate the roof. And I've never seen one where the insulation is all just pushed aside. Mice have pulled it off the wall. People have crawled in there and pushed it off the floor. It's just it's 100% of the time in my experience it's not effective.
Right. This kind of falls into this. To me, this falls into the no free lunch category because it's like, if you design a simple building, it's very easy to insulate and air seal it, efficiently and effectively and very, very cost effectively. You start designing a complex building, you either have to do spray foam or you have to do really complex insulation and air sealing details, and it's going to cost you to do it. If you just do the crappy everyday job of basic insulation without all the air sealing on a complicated structure, it's just not going to perform. And what drives me nuts is people design a really complicated building and they think it should be built for the same square foot price as a simple building, and it's just not going to happen in the universe.
Yep. You brought up the no free lunch, Carl. I feel like we should do an interlude with the 4 laws of ecology.
Move on.
Put it in the chat group for whoever. I can't see the chat, so we'll put it in the chat. If anybody thinks that they know the 4 laws of ecology, type them in there for 10 points. And of course, the ventilated rain screen that vents into the attic.
Yeah, that was a mistake in our book. Actually, that was needs to be corrected.
What were you thinking?
I think the IRC code is now explicit that's not allowed. I think it's a pretty recent addition.
Yeah, it was never really allowed. That's literally just a mistake in the diagram.
Okay.
He amended it, but I didn't want to include the right way to do it in this presentation.
Actually, the book hasn't been reprinted yet, so it hasn't been corrected. We're still misleading college students, driving them to their ruin.
Good.
They're going to give you a second edition, Carl?
Only if they sell out of the first one. It's only been 7 years.
It's a good thing. The first thing we try to do with recent college grads is make them forget everything they just learned, so we can train them the right way. So What's
So attention, anybody that hires someone who says, I've read Carl Seville's book, say, turn to page 68 and tear it out of your book, erase it from your mind.
Yeah, there's two or three egregious mistakes in there we need to fix.
And
You know,
I did
it's like 400 pages. I'm not perfect. I try, but I'm not.
far from it.
You would know, Michael.
All right, somebody's writing in with the first law of ecology. Everything is connected to everything else. Does she know it?
Nice. That's what is 10?
Right.
What did I say? 10 points? That is
10 points to June.
That's 2.5 points.
2.5 points to Gryffindor. So I had to include this one because it has wood furring strips, and every time I have a chance to point to wood furring strips and say, "Don't do it," I'm gonna take that opportunity.
Well, yeah, but
why is that, Michael?
Yeah, why?
Well, okay, wait. Let me explain Michael's problems with it. We all love rain screens. They're great. Michael's concern is if you use wood furring strips and you butt them up to the bottoms of windows, you won't get the cross flow you need. So Michael is a man of extremes. He gets a hair up his ass about something and that goes off on it. And if you were to do wood furring strips right for a vented rain screen, they would work fine. But he's justified in saying that they're probably not done right. So I tend to agree with him that something that has cross flow, like Home Slicker, like Delta Dry, is better as a rain screen than wood strips. But wood strips are good, even though Michael hates them.
Mm-hmm. Well,
perfectly said.
Well, and Michael also likes open gap cladding. Is that right? So,
well, that's actually really funny because he used to basically torch open gap cladding all the time until he put it on his house, and suddenly it's the best.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I probably have recordings of him trashing open gap siding.
Well, it's a stupid way to clad a house, but if he wants to do it, then that's cool. we have some more.
Michael, just be prepared. He's going to get you back at the end of this presentation.
Oh, I fully anticipate it. I love it.
We've been sparring online. I mean, this is the first time I've talked with Michael face to face, or virtually face to face. But we've been sparring online for a couple of years. We don't always agree.
He will disagree just to disagree, just to get the pleasure out of it. Even if he agrees with you, he'll disagree.
I know the type. I'm the same. June has some more laws. Second law of ecology: everything must go somewhere.
Ooh,
is that right? Steve O'Malley. Steve O'Malley.
Connected, and then everything goes somewhere.
Yeah. Steve O'Malley weighs in with nobody ever lost $1 by underestimating the taste of the American public. I'm not sure if that's
no, that's not
right. June continues. Third law is nature knows best.
Oh,
Michael, I just want to know, Michael, we're not going to finish unless we move it along.
Okay. I'll stop interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, I'm talking to Anshel, not you, Mike.
I want to see the drawings on this one. I just so desperately would love to see. I don't even I don't know how I would even draw this. I mean, it's just like, what?
That's a window rep's house, guaranteed.
Either that or it's Photoshop.
Yeah, it's gotta be Photoshop. That's not.
It's pretty impressive if it's real.
And this is just something we see all the time: is people design these big overhangs and just don't even think about how to insulate them. And they think they can insulate it effectively with bats, and we just keep trying until we had a project recently that had a whole bunch of garages underneath in townhomes in a multifamily project, and we told them like they had like 18-inch trusses and they kept trying to insulate them with bats, and after like 3 weeks of arguing with them, they finally blew it with cellulose or fiberglass. We just say, well, we can do it. It's like, no, you can't. We can do it. No, you can't. And they finally took our word for it. And actually, they did a very nice job with the house wrap under that too. I just noticed.
Oh, do you think it's spectacular? Look at this. That makes me confidence level is high right now.
Oh yeah.
Also, can lights. I mean,
yeah, and can lights. Yeah, this is like the building science nightmare.
Stop it already. No, I mean now we have LED disc lights that surface mount, so there's no freaking excuse for seeing another can light on a damn
Right.
project ever again.
Yeah, there is none.
Read.
Can lights. My next blog will be can lights should be outlawed.
Go for it.
Look like look at me. I look like a raccoon because I got this light shining down on me. So just that there. Let's start at the stop.
I know.
Michael,
I
it's
know.
not the light.
Oh, terror level 8. Oh God.
You have had a hair up your ass at the passive house for so many years.
I'm having palpitations. Oh man, do I hate that program.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that.
Yeah, well, you know, small circles, silos of thought.
Yeah, I want to hear more.
You probably don't.
No, you don't. You definitely don't.
You know, in all fairness, I will say that Katrin did a great job retooling a really horrible idea into something that's doing some good with the US version. And I know she's going to be like, wait a second, Anshel, you said something nice about my program. Something is wrong in the universe. But, you know, Trump has taught me that, not that he hasn't taught me anything. But no, you know, I have a problem with standards that are myopically focused on things like energy. There, you know, I routinely rail on passive house, especially the German version, which meant in Minnesota we had to put something like 2 feet of insulation under the slab, which is just moronic. You know, also chasing energy when we're talking about occupants. I mean, I'm very much love the green building movement for its intentional, you know, placement of energy as one of the components, not the component. And I think that it frustrates people who like to do math because, you know, the easy math is on energy and the hard math is on LCA. And, you know, embodied energy and life cycle assessment is a much more complicated and rigorous subject. And then you get into chemical analysis, indoor environmental, and it gets murky. And I think that energy is just an easy thing to pick up and say, this is super important. And it's not really that important. There's lots of energy. It doesn't go anywhere. You can't lose it. There's no energy shortage. Exergy. You want to talk about something we should be talking about? Let's talk about exergy. These make me happy. Like this is much more, you know, round in its thinking. And we said we wouldn't put anything good in the presentation, but passive house was too much. It's just too terrible, too terrifying.
Where's the pretty good? Oh, there we go. All
There
right.
we go.
Spoke too soon.
Fixed it.
Michael hates our logo. We have Michael. We have a new, pretty simple logo.
Get out of town. I showed this to Carlo, and he said, "What the is that?"
It is trying to say a lot.
Actually, Michael, I did not say that. He made that up. Just
I didn't make it up. He just said, "Why is it in there?" And I said, "Because it's so hideous." And he said, "Hey, that's hideous," you know.
Mike, did you design
no.
that? Mike
Just
Maines, did you design that?
Yes, I designed it, and I'm really disappointed Michael's frozen right now because yes, I designed that. No, but I'm not a graphic designer.
Tomb.
There's the logo revisions. Well done, Michael.
Nice.
Those are good
The
options.
new one's even better. I was trying to find it. I don't know where it lives. Bob, we need help. I know you're out there.
Paging Bob.
Did I get kicked
Paging
out?
Bob.
No, you're back.
You're
No,
back.
you're here.
All right. It was weird.
Sort of.
Anyway, so I'm looking forward to seeing the new one, Mike. But we had to throw this in there just to rib you a little.
Oh yeah. No. Hey, I
I just saw something in the chat. Somebody said, "Can we make fun of lead now?" I'd love to, but I'm not sure we have time.
Just say bike rack and move on.
Carl, do you
Bike rack and move on. That's
You
totally true.
remember when we went to DC when ASA called us in there to talk about actually dealing with the issues of their program?
Yeah, you went. Yeah, I was on the phone conversation. Yeah, it was Nick. What's his name? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, they didn't really care. Okay, so Architorture. I did a blog on this recently, and the picture on the far left is for this. This is a project not far from my house, this townhome project that has these really strange lookouts. I have no idea why. I hope they're not made out of wood. And there's even worse details on this building, but it sort of inspired me to just, wonder why people do things like this. Nothing about it makes any sense.
If you're going to put corbels up, shouldn't they be of the size at which they support what they're underneath? Like the cantilever corbel is not something I've ever seen applied anywhere ever.
They must have been on sale.
Right. Yeah.
Bulk pricing.
Yeah. We also noticed there's this downspout.
Doesn't seem to go anywhere.
That's the brick hydration system. You got to keep that water hydrated.
Emily, you're showing off the new PGH.
I'll move to the side so I'm not ahead in the middle of it.
Oh, cool.
There we go.
Sweet.
Now you can see the new Pretty Good House. Very
Who did that?
simplified. We'll give all the credit to Bob Swinburne.
Nice. That's beautiful.
But now I'll be the Pretty Good House.
You are the Pretty Good House.
That's
And
great.
Michael's got a warthog costume.
You look like you're
this
about
is
to
all
do
about
a
costume change.
I know, right? You look like you're
Quick
about to do a
change.
one-woman show, Emily.
I think this should be the new logo for the podcast.
I like it a lot.
We just got some good architecture memes, including the one on the right. This is the College of Architecture Planning.
Awesome.
That's so epic right there.
That is great.
This is
That
architecture.
can't be real.
I don't know. It's pretty funny.
I don't know. I don't buy it. I can't.
Yeah, it could be photoshopped. It's pretty good.
It doesn't matter if it's Photoshopped. It's funny, goddammit.
It's still funny, right? Totally.
It would have been better actually if the G on the right was on the end. I think it's
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And what's up with those windows in the middle? They
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with those.
yeah.
it's just what they look like.
Right.
There is
And
another one. Yeah.
okay, I was just going to talk about the next picture. Go ahead, move on.
Emily's in the house.
So this one, I was in this truly hideous modern house on a tour. Where'd my picture go? And if you notice, the wood floor kind of goes through. I was just looking around and walking down, and walked into this hallway and discovered it was 5.5 feet tall.
Ooh.
Like I think the architect or the contractor at one point said, "Oh, I have some extra space. Let me just finish it out." And there was, so I mean, somebody who was 5 feet tall would have no problem, but somebody who's 6 feet tall, you don't. If you're walking along a floor, you don't necessarily expect there to be something that cracks your head. Maybe in a staircase, but not on a floor. So I just found that an interesting design.
You say 6? What are you, like 6'7"?
No. I'm only 6'2", Michael. You're like 4'2".
Perspective.
This one was sent to us by Aaron Thomas. This is a new construction home, less than 5 years old. They had a rot, mold, mildew issue. They had this board on the outside of the house. They pulled it off and discovered that that was a vent.
And it was not connected to whatever was on the outside, probably.
It just blew right back into the house. It blew back underneath the lap siding and just
Oh,
basically
it was completely covered. It was covered up. It was covered with board.
completely
Oh,
covered. Just
Jesus!
like what?
Wow.
Who put this pipe here? Let's just cover it up.
And I bet it's not flashed to the weather barrier if there's a weather barrier.
There's no flashing. And you can see this thing is like, it's rusted out. That's how much water was back here. And you can see this.
Yeah.
This is not what 5-year-old siding should ever look like. Don't cover up your furnace vents. It's a bad idea. This one comes to us courtesy of Blake Reed, Terawatt.
What did you call this? What did
He calls this the mysterious hover bat.
and look at how well that knee wall is insulated and air sealed. That's what I like.
Yeah, it's a thing of beauty, eh?
So you got a 150-degree attic with no insulation next to an interior space. I like it.
We call this
So
one.
I
That's
have
air intake insulation.
we have
That's
a
just
real
filtration
issue.
system.
You know,
Say that again, Bob.
I was just saying that's not actually insulation. It's an air filtration system. So that when
Yes,
you bring in your attic air, you want it to be at least slightly less dusty as it moves through the can light penetrations and
There you go.
enters your room space.
yeah, good. That's good.
The house has to breathe. The house has to breathe. So
That's
That's
a
right,
breathe.
Art.
So this was
Squishy bat.
yeah. So we in the south where I live, we don't need vapor retarders. So I don't like people to use bad insulation, and for our particular reason, since about 90% of what I do is inspect insulation in buildings, I find that basically faced insulation is almost impossible to inspect. They need a high grade. I can't really inspect it unless I tear it off. So we try and get unfaced bats. But then even with unfaced bats, we just see installation like this. Insulators just don't cut it, just cram it in, and we just.
What? That's a good install. It's in there.
Oh, yeah,
What are you talking about?
absolutely, absolutely. I've gone into buildings. We went to like a 150-unit 5-story building. They insulated the whole thing. Nobody told the poor installers it had to meet a grade. We took out every bat in the building and reinstalled it.
Are you telling you can inspect this one, Carl?
What's that?
You're saying you look at this thing and you can't tell if it's installed properly because it's got craft paper on it?
No. Like say one that looks roughly like the one on the left. There could be all kinds of pipes and wires behind that. I have no idea if they've cut around them. That's my point.
Got it. So in the north, we don't like seeing plastic on the walls, and so the craft paper works pretty well. I would argue that even this one on the left that kind of looks moderately decent, since the paper is supposed to be nailed to the face of the stud, it's obviously not installed.
That nailed on the sides actually meets grade 1 if you do it right. But the issue is that I can't see what's behind the paper.
Yeah.
It's like five falls deals. They want you to put this reflective stuff up, and you can't see what's behind it. Oh, my duct system.
So then you just foam it. I mean, what's the big deal?
Well,
Wait,
yeah. They're foaming these cracks because I told them they couldn't chink fiberglass into it, which they do all the time. I've rewritten specs for buildings where they say to chink fiberglass into narrow cavities, which drives me crazy.
Anderson Windows used to have it in their diagram for how to install their windows. They had this picture of the cavity where the weight pocket had been, and they had a picture of someone with a stick shoving fiberglass insulation into this little pocket.
Well, hopefully they've learned.
Emily, what were you asking?
Somebody previously asked why they were using fire treated lumber. Was it just something in that picture?
It's probably a multifamily project that has had to have a fire rating.
Gotcha.
Most likely. I honestly don't remember what the picture's from exactly.
That explains the AT cable running through interior residential walls.
Just one of thousands of pictures we take when we inspect projects.
Did anybody ever guess the third and fourth laws of ecology?
Yes, I think June followed up with the other two, but you guys wanted to move on, so we.
This is actually an example of fairly well installed insulation. It's unfaced bats. The left one's installed pretty much right. The right one's the little triangular one on the right's a little crinkled, but it's probably about grade 2, which is what we're aiming for. And in this case, they spray foam the rims, which gives them pretty good air seal. They have a few gaps there we need to fill in. Yeah, that red line there was something we sent them saying, fill these gaps.
I like the drippy. I thought the drippy was kind of cool. The drywall guy is going to be so happy about that.
He's not even going to. It's open cell. It'll compress.
So, for the record, the third and fourth laws of ecology. The third law, which Carl already stated, was there's no free lunch. And the fourth law of ecology it was close with nature's knows best. It's nature bats last.
So this duck picture is just one of my favorites. This was architect designed this house. It was actually one of the HGTV Green Home giveaways several years ago. Very fancy house. Happened to not have any overhangs, which I recall. And, nobody really thought that they needed to put space in for the ductwork. So they just had to cram it in however they could possibly cram it in there. There was just,
Where's Allison Bales? It's a ductopus.
Yeah,
It's a
Release the Kraken.
Yeah, he just gave
Yeah.
a great keynote on that very subject.
Yeah, this is what we see. This is what we see in the South all the time. This is really common practice. It's very
Yeah.
frustrating.
It's also truly not an integrated project if it's not integrated with the mechanical system. So this is a
Yeah, I say I don't get to do too much integrated design work. People usually bring me plans and I say make it green, and my response is too late. It's like,
Sorry.
I can make it less crappy is really what I can help you with.
So this one is we're looking at the underside of a deck, and this piece of wood to the right is the stairs.
Oh boy.
Can you guys see what's wrong with this
That's
picture?
troublesome.
Yeah, when Michael showed me this picture earlier, I wasn't sure what it was. Then when he explained it was a deck, it was truly terrifying.
There's no hangers, and that's what's holding it together.
That's how you increase the drying potential and prevent wicking along the end.
I'd love to see how it's attached to the house. That would be another interesting thing.
The
Faith.
drying potential is high. Yes.
The failure potential is also high.
Brian Campbell commented, "This flight of stairs is about to take flight." I don't know what to say about this.
This deserves no comment. I just saw this on the
We actually replaced the facepalm emoji with a
picture of the rodent in the road that had the line painted over it.
Yeah.
It's a no comment picture.
Zip sheeting doesn't work. I've seen it installed improperly. This would be an example of an improper installation.
Yeah, I assume they fixed it when they did the roof, but maybe not. Yeah, it was so worthwhile to take that picture.
All right, we had way too much fun. This is serious stuff here.
So Michael thinks
an
that this
awesome refrigerator.
Michael thinks this refrigerator is the best thing in the world, and to me, it's just a bit. Do you need the internet on your refrigerator?
Yeah, you do.
no.
This is my refrigerator.
Yes, he has it.
Why do you like it, Michael?
He does have this refrigerator in his house. I've personally seen it. This refrigerator has cameras inside that are internet enabled, so you can look inside your refrigerator when you're shopping to see what you need.
Awesome. How many times have you been at the supermarket and you're like, do I have eggs? I can't remember. Do I? Well, let me look.
I don't want to look.
Also,
I just want it to be smart enough to text me what I need. I mean, why do I gotta look?
It has that feature. It has
Oh no, this is ridiculous.
I get a text message when the refrigerator door has been left ajar for more than like 2 minutes, and then I can call home and be like, "Did someone leave the fridge door open?"
So you're basically in a relationship with your refrigerator.
Well, my favorite.
All right.
Michael, I'd like to offer a service to you. I'm willing to text you to let you know when you've been swindled by an appliance manufacturer.
Well, my favorite thing is we showed this at a presentation at AIA conference once, and I basically said, who in the audience thinks this is ridiculous? And pretty much everybody raised their hands. It was very gratifying.
I still love my fridge.
It's a nice big screen. It's not some wimpy small screen. That's a serious screen on there.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I can find positive about it. So
Right, and that's all we can say about that.
Okay, Michael is gonna rant about heat pump water heaters, and the thing I have to point out is that he really hates them. The primary reason being is the first one he ever saw, he couldn't reach the filter on the top. and he's
terrible.
He can't get over it.
It's true. I've been living in the shadow of this moment where I was humiliated by my inability to reach the top of this 8-foot tall water heater to replace the filter. And Carl just reaches over, with his little pinky and is like, "You mean this, Anshul?" also they're just dumb. They're everything about them. I mean, if the refrigerator is an appliance salesman selling you an overpriced, kind of boondoggle of a fridge, well, that's the heat pump water heater. Here's an overly complicated air conditioner compressor unit mounted to the top of a water heater.
The other thing everybody needs to know about Michael is that he's just not into this whole all electric house thing. He just doesn't buy it. He thinks we should be burning fuel for boilers and things like that. I've been having all electric house.
Oh no, we can't be friends anymore. I just bought an all electric car. I only design all electric houses, and I disagree with your heat pump scenario because I've been monitoring mine as well. So
my issue,
all right, let's hear it.
My issue with the heat pump water heater is that it's multifold. It's expensive. You don't need them. Combi boilers work so much better. Sidearm water heaters work so much better, and they're less complicated and they're more efficient. But also, this thing dumps cold air inside your house. It was designed for the Las Vegas market. It was designed for water heaters that sit in people's garages, not for inside homes. The last thing I want to do in Minnesota is cool my basement in the winter. I don't want to dump a bunch of cold air in here. There's absolutely no reason to do that. So I think, if you want to go all electric, pick up a Marathon. They do an awesome job, or go for a combi system. They do an awesome job too. But the excitement over these things, gas or electric, most of them are gas in our market, I think is completely misplaced. And also, you have to turn the switch. Someone's got to go down there seasonally.
And Michael, that was 10 years ago. They're way more advanced.
I'm sure
I was going to say, they're way more advanced than that.
That's when
ask your refrigerator to turn the switch for you, and it'll get done.
Here's my curmudgeon hat. There you go. Back to being a curmudgeon. Oh, how about these silly things? Setback thermostats.
Does anybody actually know how to use them? I think is the important question.
And
my
why?
HVAC company charges a premium if they have to spend time logging on to the homeowner's Wi-Fi and programming their Nest thermostat. It's like the service call for the install is this price. And then if you want to go ahead and have them program and link it to your phone, then their hourly triples for that period of time because it's so ridiculous.
It is. And the whole concept of the setback thermostat, which is really utilities looking to save money, right, is the antithesis of what we want to do to our homes, and it doesn't help our systems. It doesn't help the efficiency of the systems. You cool a house in the north overnight, your relative humidity spikes, you have condensation on your windows, you have mild and mildew, you start rotting your house out instantly. If you're on a radiator system, like a lot of us are up here, you actually lose efficiency overall in the system as it fluctuates going up and down. You do so much better to set it at 68 and leave it there. But the bigger issue is this is problem solving for shitty housing, right, Carl?
Yeah. It basically is. It's basically a solution to a terrible house where you can't afford to, you don't want to afford to heat it during the day when you're not there, and and you're just blowing heat out the holes in the wall. There's really no point in using one in a high performance home.
Great.
Although I use them in my home, although I don't use them. I don't really change the setback much.
Yeah. Here's a detail. So I love this drawing, right? So the left is the typical, right? And it's equivalent to 39 feet. And on the right, that same thing with the vanes is equivalent to 4 feet. This is like one of those no-brainer, like the kick-out flashing, but it's invisible and it's hidden inside your ductwork, where you could so dramatically improve the performance of your equipment with like one $35 part.
And this
So
is
simple.
something that I think your supply house should just not offer. Like there's no reason to offer the fitting on the left. It doesn't make sense to offer that. Just don't sell it. Take it off the market. Solved.
Right.
Turning vanes cost very little.
But the one on the right actually costs, $10 more or whatever,
It's an extra $30.
Yeah.
But how many of them do you need?
One. You need one.
Right? It's a $14,000 heating package. Oh no, it's $14,130 now.
Michael Chandler says you stole his graphic, by the way.
We steal everything.
I'm glad Chandler's with us, man.
Hey, Michael, you know,
That's part of the critical path for plausible deniability. You use other people's information so that when you're wrong, you're no
their
longer
fault.
accountable. You can't be sued. That was Chandler's detail.
Exactly. You mean 5 feet? Oh yeah, Chandler, totally Chandler. White roofs are just dumb. Don't do them. You know,
I heard
What about the
podcast
urban
with,
heat island?
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Or just what about the urban heat island effect?
what about it?
How do you manage it?
well,
I live in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't affect me.
Well, okay, we have to explain. Michael heard this at summer camp one year, and it is true that white roofs create issues with not enough drying potential in buildings in certain climates, probably in basically northern climates. So it is a good point. Michael is a man of extremes. He gets it like the heat pump water heaters. He's decided that since in certain situations white roofs create problems, all white roofs are bad. But
It also makes for better comedy.
yes, yeah, we'll humor
That's
you with
fair.
this. Go on.
So Kylie's
Yeah,
going to have to go
construction,
back
you
and see Patrick McComb at the next FHB pod. And Patrick did a great pod with Diami Plotke, who talked extensively about the white roof, black roof dynamics. And I think that Kylie's going to get crap from Patrick if we don't solve this. The white roof
Okay,
makes a
I haven't
difference.
heard that one yet. All right, well, let me talk with him. We'll
Let's
discuss
find out,
this.
because I think
But
Michael could be convinced.
Yeah,
Think that I could be convinced?
I think so. I was convinced. I mean, I was just listening
I
to
was
the podcast,
convinced too.
but
I just
I
listened to
bought
that.
in.
I did too.
So
Michael is clearly more stubborn than all of you.
It's true. I'd be curious to hear the things that stood out for me with white roofs. North of Chicago, the white roof retrofit, which is what this is an example of, is highly problematic because the lid is not air sealed, and what's allowing for that deck to dry is the heat from that EPDM or that tar that really cooks that underlayment and pushes the moisture back out. And our folks at the Fraunhofer Institute discovered, critical failures within 3 to 4 years in retrofits of buildings where they were, when the white roof craze first hit. In a new construction where you're air sealing and you've got your details, you can absolutely do it. But then the larger question is raised by the Cold Climate Research Center here up in Minnesota, which was, yes, but we're a net heating climate. We really could use the additional heat. So is that a benefit to the structure or not to go to a TPO versus an EPDM? And so it's really a northern retrofit detail that I'm railing against more than a southern. I can see where in mid and southern climates there'd be a real value to a system.
Yeah, that I won't do Plotke justice because he actually knows about this stuff, and I just listened to him talk about it. So I won't embarrass myself or besmirch his good name. But I will say that what my takeaway from that discussion was that basically exactly what you just said. It's climate specific, and the TPO only makes sense, I think, in 4 and 5, and maybe not even parts of 5, because the sun, basically that overnight. I can't remember the phenomenon. Help me out, Mike Maines. Come on, building science, Mike.
Nighttime solar radiation. That's not quite the right word. What is it?
But you're on the right track.
Yeah.
And it's basically, if you're in too warm of a climate, then it doesn't work out for the opposite reason. So you're exactly right, Michael. The Minnesota folks don't need TPO.
Don't tell him he's right. His head's already too big.
He's only right in his neighborhood, though. And this is a national show. Actually, it's global. We've got
It's
people in Australia.
international.
International.
Yes,
right.
Greg is here from Australia. It's like 7 a.m. there. Peter asks if they're using white insulating paint, and Lloyd Alter says on top of bubble wrap. I assume that's a bubble wrap and insulating paint roof
Okay,
system.
so could be the scariest thing. Can you play this video? This is from a house of pressure at South Face. It's a demonstration of carbon monoxide backdrafting. Is it playing, Michael? Yeah, there we go. So water heater's running, using fog to demonstrate this, and then a fan goes on, and there's a carbon monoxide. I've showed this to contractors explaining why they shouldn't put atmospherically vented water heaters in houses, and it scares the crap out of them.
Can you be more specific? What fan goes on?
Oh, exhaust,
Any
bath
fan.
exhaust fan, tight house, range hood fan. You know, if you got a
dryer.
tight house, yeah, clothes dryer, anything. So it's a good way to scare contractors. If anybody wants this video, just get in touch with me. I'll send it to you.
Kind of like kickout flashing. The simple answer is stop installing these natural drafting hot water heaters.
Yeah.
Or combustion appliances.
Michael, like use a heat pump instead, right?
Yeah, right. Or combustion appliances. All electric doesn't have this problem. I'm just
Field
saying.
combust. Field combust.
Those have got to be some wicked strong bath fans, man. I want to know how many CFM you were moving on that.
No,
It's a house of
does
pressure.
not.
It doesn't take much. Yeah,
It doesn't take much.
Yeah, the worst case combustion spillage test, which was developed here in Minneapolis by Center for Energy Environment, it's scary how little it takes to get those, or especially an orphaned natural draft water heater where someone had upgraded their furnace or their boiler.
Sure.
The like when you're lighting a fire in the chimney, it's relying on the draft of this chimney, and the pipe is too large for its small diameter pipe, and it literally a 60 CFM bath fan, and it'll just start.
The other thing which can happen is, like, say for example, you have a water heater in a louvered door closet in or near a bedroom. A moderate amount of backdrafting can bring a small amount of carbon monoxide consistently into the house. And there have been situations where people have had what felt like flu symptoms for years, and then ultimately determined it was low-level carbon monoxide poisoning. So it is a real issue that it doesn't always kill you, but it can create serious health problems that are ongoing.
So you're saying houses need to breathe?
Yeah, exactly, Houses
And
need to be-
atmospherically drafting things are bad.
Yes.
Exactly.
let's
But
get the
they're
right
not as
takeaway.
bad as ventless heaters.
Ooh, and Devin suggests adding a whole house fan to that combination. So you get the CO plus the whole house fan to really draw those fumes out.
You want a nice coating over all of your surfaces. Really pull all of it in. Yeah.
So Michael, you've been eating some phthalates lately?
Yeah, no, I try to keep those things out of my space, man. This is a freaky little photo of a three-legged frog. No, this. Yeah.
It is a freaky little photo. Why is it up there?
This is where we get to rant and rail on phthalates and endocrine disruptors and things that are in our building materials that shouldn't necessarily be there, and that there are other building materials that don't have them, and it doesn't take a whole lot of work to sort through your materials so that you're specifying things that are less nasty. For those people who are big fans of LVP or LVT products, Interface, maker of Floor, who actually came out with a vinyl backing for their carpets that is basically phthalate free, are making LVP products now that use that same.
What is LVP?
Luxury vinyl plank.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, or luxury vinyl tile, which my floors happen to be made out of, that I'm sitting on in my cozy little basement dungeon. And but yeah, so choices. That was a scary photo. This is the part of the show when it gets real, like where we do the comedy and then we stick you in the ribs and we twist the knife. So this is a fellow in India who is dying of silicosis. And silicosis is a very, we on the States in the 70s was a big deal in the ceramics world. There were a lot of folks who died from it. And it is from the silica dust, which, you know, is recently OSHA started to make a lot of noise about in the States. But the working conditions in many third world countries is such that there's no PPE whatsoever. And average lifespan in an Indian quarry is 35 years old.
Yeah, this, you know, has been apparently in Israel, some of the quartz countertop manufacturers are having this problem. There's been a lot of people suffering from silicosis. And so it's like ceramic tile. Is it? I know it's the manufactured stone. A lot of the natural stones. I mean, it's a mess. You know, we're killing people.
Yeah, the quarrying industry in general is pretty awful. You know, if they have less than 3 deaths in a quarry a year, that's considered pretty good. Oh, we lost Carl.
Hi, Carl. Oh, there he is.
I'm here. Yeah, sorry.
So this is a slate quarry in India, and again, it's you know, sandals, no eye protection. Then I think the reason that I include these is because that we're talking about all of these building science details, and we get in the weeds with some of these things. But there is a larger issue of, you know, green building in general, and building science is about building homes that are healthy and are safe and are comfortable. But we miss the point of the entire movement, really, if we do it at the expense of other human beings. And so we like to talk about LCA, but we got to talk about displaced impact. Yeah. And too often, displaced impact is not part of the conversation. The tile is cheaper from this source. You know, it's $3 at the tile shop versus $15 from Crossville or whatever. I don't know. But why? There's always a reason, right? There's no free lunch. Someone's suffering on the other end. And does it really, if we build a house that's, you know, got, you know, and hey man, I got down to like 0.2 ACH, you know, look at me, you know, I'm the shit, right? By the way, look at all my blood tile, you know, and all my blood slate. Like, you know, there's a conversation that I think is missing in this world where we are really pushing standards to build better, which is awesome, but not talking about where the stuff comes from and who's impacted on the other end. Yes. And that even goes all the way down to our installers and our workers, who we generally take very little care for. You know, one of the things that COVID has done, which is really good, which is a weird thing to say, is it has forced the use of masks on the job site.
Right.
I mean, come on. That's what it took, is a killer fucking pandemic to get people to put masks on and stop breathing in silica dust and formaldehyde and you know, purple primer. The plumber, your can says don't use without a respirator, your purple primer, and there you are working with it, right? Mm-hmm. How easy is it for us to say, how about you use ABS instead? Right? That's a simple step. And then that's taken out. Or, you know, we're going to be responsible at how we source our materials. So, yeah. Mental health moment, mental illness. I think that's us. We're the poster children.
Okay. So mental health, it's 7:30 and I was enjoying it so much I didn't even notice. So
yeah, same. That was really great. That was really very clever.
So last slide, mental health moment. That was absolutely perfect. Any last words from you guys?
That was fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Very creative.
Yes, I quite enjoyed that.
From your little house.
from good night, Ellen. Right? What does he say in the Waltons? Right? I'm like in the little house. I'm in the little house.
Good night, John Boy.
Yeah. Good night, John Boy. Yeah.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night, Carl. Good night, Michael.
Yeah. I have a question before we say good night and goodbye.
Yeah.
Since Carl and I didn't get to read any of the comments or questions or anything that are sitting on the right, is there a way to capture that so we can look at them later?
I can get
That's
this
a
for you.
good question.
Yeah, I can get it for you.
Yeah.
One way or another.
Kylie can send it to you. You may or may not, depending on the device you're on, be able to click on the 3 little dots at the bottom and hit save chat.
Oh, is that right?
It depends on the device that you are on.
The 3 little buttons on the bottom.
Yeah, give it a try.
At the bottom of the chat box, and it says save chat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Saved too, Emily.
What's that?
Where is it saved to?
Somewhere on your computer. It'll probably pop up. Downloads. I have no idea. I don't live on your computer. Mine is saved. Mine is saved to the place that everything is saved to on wherever anything you download gets saved to generally. I'm a Mac user, so I don't know.
Macs are
Right?
so much
I know we
so
probably can't be
straightforward.
friends anymore. So
We can be friends, Emily. I'm a Mac user.
all right, Carl. Woo. So
Very disappointing, Carl. No,
I straddle both of those worlds. So I hate going back and forth between them.
Yeah.
I'll get those to you. I'll get the chat box comments to you.
Thanks for having us on. Hopefully,
Yeah,
I won't
thanks.
too much torture.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
come back
Thanks a lot,
if you want.
guys.
You'll have us. We'll do it again.
Yes,
Okay,
only if you wear green police costumes.
Right.
We
Oh
can
yeah, we
probably
gotta
pull
get that
that
link.
You got it.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate
Take care. Bye.
everything.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks a lot, guys. See you.